ladies and gentlemen. Let us delve into the psychology of human connection, not the superficiality of fleeting infatuation, but the foundation of a bond so profound it compels admiration, loyalty, and love. At its core, the mindset that fosters such attraction begins with authenticity. Too many people are trapped in the illusion that they must perform to be worthy of love. They suppress their quirks, their individuality in favor of what they believe is desirable. But here's the truth: only when you shed this pretense and present yourself authentically can another person truly see you and love you for who you are, not who you're pretending to be. Next comes strength with vulnerability. A paradox, perhaps, but an essential one. People are drawn to confidence, yes, but not arrogance. Strength is compelling when it is tempered by the courage to be vulnerable. It is the act of saying, "Here I am with my flaws, my dreams, my fears. Can we share this journey together?" That openness disarms the walls of the heart. Then there is purpose, the magnetic force that no charm or beauty can surpass. When a person is driven by their purpose, their life has a gravitational pull. They're not chasing, they're building, they're striving. That energy, that commitment to their own growth is irresistibly attractive because it signals stability and vision. But how is all this sustained? Through clear communication. If there's one thing that destroys relationships faster than anything else, it's ambiguity. The truth is hard, yes, but it's also liberating. Speaking with clarity about who you are, what you want, and what you will not tolerate is a sign of respect, not just for the other person, but for yourself. Trust is born in those moments when words and actions align. In the landscape of human relationships, there is an undeniable truth: authenticity is magnetic. Far too often, individuals, especially in romantic contexts, are led to believe that in order to be loved, they must conform to some preconceived notion of what is desirable. They mold themselves into a version of someone they think the other person will appreciate. This is the essence of performance, presenting a carefully curated image that hides the complexities of who they really are. But let me ask you, have you ever been genuinely drawn to someone who was constantly performing, someone who seemed too perfect, too polished, too put together? Perhaps you admired their appearance or their ability to navigate social situations with ease, but did you feel that deeper connection? Did you ever truly feel that they were allowing you to see them, not their act, but the person beneath the facade? Most likely, the answer is no. Authenticity, the rawness, the vulnerability, the realness is what sparks true connection. It is what makes one person resonate with another on a level far beyond mere attraction or superficial admiration. When we talk about authenticity, we're not talking about some idealized version of being yourself that overlooks the nuances and intricacies of human nature. Authenticity does not mean being devoid of complexity or rough edges. It doesn't mean refusing to grow or adapt. It means being honest about who you are at your core, understanding your strengths, accepting your weaknesses, and embracing both with pride. It's the willingness to show up in the world, not as a version of yourself shaped by others' expectations, but as the person you are, complete with all the layers and contradictions that make you whole. Why is this authenticity so crucial? For one, it removes the fear of rejection that often arises when we are playing a role. When you are performing, you are always afraid that if the other person sees the real you, they might not like what they find. But when you are authentic, you are free from that fear because the relationship that develops is based on the actual connection between the two of you, not on a mirage of what you think the other person wants to see. This shift from performance to authenticity changes the dynamics of any interaction. Rather than striving to fit into a mold, you are allowing your true self to be seen and appreciated, flaws and all. And there's something powerful about this. When you stop performing, you start attracting those who are aligned with who you truly are, not with who you've created for the world to see. Those who are drawn to your real self are the ones who will stay when the masks fall, when the curtains come down. They will stay because they have connected with you, not with a role, not with a fantasy, but with the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. Now, let's address a common misconception that often accompanies the pursuit of authenticity: the fear that being yourself will lead to failure or rejection. Many believe that in order to be loved, they need to meet certain standards or adhere to specific expectations. There's an innate pressure to be perfect in some way, perfectly attractive, perfectly articulate, perfectly charming. But the truth is, perfection is unrelatable. It creates distance rather than connection. People connect with others not because of their perfection, but because of their imperfections. It is in the moments of vulnerability, when we expose our fears, our doubts, our flaws, that we make the deepest, most enduring connections. Authenticity doesn't require perfection, it only requires honesty. Being authentic is not an excuse to abandon self-improvement either. Authenticity doesn't mean surrendering to your flaws and saying, "This is just who I am, take it or leave it." That's not true authenticity, that's resignation. Real authenticity is about acknowledging the areas in which you can grow while still accepting and loving who you are in the present. It's about living in the tension between becoming a better version of yourself and embracing your imperfections. In any healthy, thriving relationship, whether romantic, professional, or platonic, authenticity fosters trust. When you allow the other person to see you for who you truly are, you give them the space to do the same. Trust is built on the foundation of mutual vulnerability, the willingness to be open and honest with each other without fear of judgment. The more authentic you are, the more the other person feels they can be authentic in return. This is a dynamic that cannot be replicated by performance. No matter how charming, how carefully crafted your words or actions may be, performance will always come with a layer of distance. There will always be a wall, even if it's invisible, between you and the other person. But with authenticity, the wall comes down and you're left with nothing but the potential for true intimacy. Moreover, authenticity is empowering. It frees you from the constant strain of trying to be someone you are not. It releases the pressure of pleasing others, of measuring up to arbitrary standards. When you embrace who you truly are, you unlock a sense of freedom to express yourself, to pursue your passions, to live a life that is aligned with your values and desires. This freedom is contagious. When you are authentic, you inspire others to do the same. You create an environment where people are not afraid to be themselves, where they are encouraged to grow and evolve on their own terms. At the end of the day, the mindset of authenticity is not just about attracting another person, it's about creating a life that is true to who you are. A life where the people around you, the relationships you cultivate, and the work you do are all reflections of the real you. This is the mindset that draws others in. It's a mindset that radiates confidence, not because you are pretending to be something you're not, but because you are fully, unapologetically yourself. There is a prevalent misconception in modern society that strength and vulnerability cannot coexist. In many circles, strength is seen as an unwavering, impenetrable force, an armor that shields against the world's challenges. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is often viewed as a weakness, a crack in the armor that allows pain, disappointment, or failure to slip in. But this dichotomy is misleading, and it is time we reconsider the true nature of strength. True strength lies not in invulnerability, but in the ability to embrace vulnerability without being diminished by it. Strength is not about constructing a facade of perfection or suppressing your emotions to appear strong to others. Real strength is found in the courage to show up fully, to be yourself, and to open your heart to the world even when you're uncertain or exposed. The concept of strength with vulnerability is powerful because it combines two traits that, when harmonized, form the bedrock of deep, meaningful connections and resilient personal growth. There is strength in vulnerability, and there is vulnerability in strength. To understand how this works, let's first examine both qualities in isolation and then explore how they complement each other in a balanced, healthy way. Strength is often mistaken for stoicism or emotional detachment. It is frequently associated with the ability to endure hardship or to control one's emotions, as if the mere act of suppressing one's feelings is somehow a mark of fortitude. But real strength is not about bottling up emotions or acting tough in the face of adversity. Instead, strength is about resilience, the ability to weather difficult circumstances while maintaining a sense of self-worth and direction. Strength is the quiet confidence that allows a person to continue moving forward despite the obstacles in their way. At its core, strength is about staying true to your principles. Even when it's hard, it's about choosing integrity over convenience and honesty over complacency. But here's the thing, this kind of strength requires vulnerability. If you have ever had to make a difficult decision, one that demanded you stand up for what you believe is right, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular, You know that this requires not only conviction, but also a willingness to expose yourself to judgment, rejection, or even failure. It is vulnerable to be honest about your values, to risk being misunderstood, or to put yourself in a position where you might not succeed. Vulnerability in this sense is not weakness, it is the courage to embrace uncertainty and the unknown. It is the willingness to put yourself in situations where you cannot control the outcome but are still willing to move forward because your conviction is stronger than the fear of failure or rejection. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is often misunderstood as something passive or submissive. It's not about being defenseless or opening yourself up to exploitation. Rather, vulnerability is the active choice to reveal your true self, to show your emotional depth, and to be transparent about your feelings. It involves the courage to express your desires, your fears, your insecurities, and your hopes for the future. Vulnerability is not about weakness, it's about strength in its purest form, the ability to stand fully exposed before the world and say, "This is me and I am willing to be seen." In a world where we are constantly pressured to present a curated version of ourselves, to filter our emotions, to suppress our flaws, and to conform to social norms, vulnerability is a radical act of self-acceptance. To be vulnerable is to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, to acknowledge both your strengths and your limitations, and to understand that it is okay to not have everything figured out. It is about giving yourself permission to feel deeply without judgment. When we combine these two elements, strength and vulnerability, we see that they are not opposites, but rather complementary forces. True emotional strength involves being strong enough to show your vulnerability, and true vulnerability involves the strength to be open and honest despite the risks. These qualities together create a powerful dynamic in relationships, whether personal or professional. In intimate relationships, for example, strength with vulnerability allows two people to connect on a deeper level. When both partners are willing to share their fears, their struggles, and their dreams, a bond forms that is rooted not in superficial attraction, but in mutual understanding and trust. It is only by showing vulnerability, by letting down the walls we build around our hearts, that we can allow true connection to flourish. But this requires strength to be open, to be real, and to not hide behind a mask of perfection. When it comes to personal growth, strength with vulnerability is a key ingredient for transformation. Growth does not happen in a vacuum. It requires discomfort, uncertainty, and often a significant amount of emotional vulnerability. Whether you are confronting your past, working through insecurities, or pursuing a new goal, growth necessitates vulnerability because it involves stepping into the unknown, acknowledging your limitations, and being willing to fail in order to succeed. Embracing vulnerability allows you to take risks, to learn from your mistakes, and to grow from them. Without vulnerability, there is no room for growth, and without growth, there is no real strength. Furthermore, this combination of strength and vulnerability extends beyond individual relationships and affects how we interact with the world at large. In professional contexts, for instance, being able to show vulnerability while maintaining strength creates a powerful leadership dynamic. Leaders who are willing to admit when they don't have all the answers, who are comfortable showing their humanity, and who are unafraid to ask for help are often far more respected and admired than those who project an image of invincibility. Vulnerability in leadership fosters trust and transparency, and it encourages others to follow suit, creating a culture of openness and collaboration. Ultimately, strength with vulnerability is not about balancing two opposing forces, it is about integrating them into a harmonious whole. It is about being strong enough to acknowledge your weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and it is about being vulnerable enough to show your true strength. This combination of qualities is what allows individuals to build deep, authentic connections, to lead with empathy, and to live with a sense of integrity that is unshaken by the challenges life inevitably throws their way. Attraction is often thought of as a purely physical or emotional phenomenon, a spark that ignites when two people meet based on chemistry or shared interests. While this is part of it, the most enduring and powerful type of attraction is rooted in something deeper: purpose. Purpose-driven attraction transcends the fleeting nature of physical appearance or surface-level interactions. It is an attraction that forms not just because of what we see or feel in the moment, but because of what we see in the long term. When a person is living a purpose-driven life, they radiate an energy that is magnetic, pulling others toward them not through manipulation or charm, but through the strength and clarity of their mission in life. Purpose is more than just having a goal or ambition. Purpose is the deep internal drive that aligns one's actions with their core values and vision for the future. It is the sense of direction that gives life meaning, the reason for getting out of bed in the morning, and the force that propels you forward even in the face of adversity. People who live with purpose are not merely drifting through life, they are actively engaged in creating something meaningful. Whether it's their career, their passions, their relationships, or their personal growth, purpose gives them a sense of clarity and focus that is undeniable. Purpose-driven attraction is not about seeking attention or approval. It's not about trying to be noticed or admired. Instead, it is about becoming so immersed in your own journey that others are drawn to you without you even trying. There is something inherently magnetic about a person who knows where they are headed, who is committed to their own growth, and who carries a sense of integrity and authenticity in their actions. This kind of person doesn't need to chase or beg for validation. Their purpose alone creates an aura that naturally attracts people who resonate with their vision. In romantic relationships, for example, a shared sense of purpose can be incredibly powerful. When both partners are living purpose-driven lives, their connection is not just based on external factors like physical attraction or shared interests, but on a deeper resonance. They are aligned in their values, their goals, and their vision for the future. This alignment creates a sense of partnership that goes beyond the superficial. Instead of two people merely enjoying each other's company for the sake of convenience or comfort, they are working together towards something greater, a shared mission or a common dream. When this occurs, the relationship becomes a dynamic force for growth and progress, fueling both individuals' personal development while strengthening the bond between them. A purpose-driven person is attractive because they are focused on something larger than themselves. They are not seeking external validation because their inner sense of fulfillment comes from the work they do, the contributions they make, and the growth they experience. This inner fulfillment radiates outward, creating an energy that others want to be near. It is magnetic not because of any effort to attract, but because purpose is inherently compelling. When someone is deeply engaged in their own mission, they are often at their most confident, passionate, and grounded. Confidence rooted in purpose is a different kind of confidence. It is not ego-driven or self-serving. Rather, it is a confidence that comes from being aligned with one's own truth, and this is what draws others in. But how does purpose-driven attraction translate into day-to-day life? To begin with, people who are driven by purpose carry themselves with a sense of direction. Their actions are deliberate and intentional. They do not waste time on frivolous distractions because they understand that every moment is an opportunity to move closer to their goals. This sense of purpose makes them focused and disciplined, two qualities that are inherently attractive. In a world where distractions are ubiquitous, a person who is focused and driven stands out. Their clarity of intention is not only impressive, but it also sets a powerful example for others who may be struggling with their own sense of direction. Another aspect of purpose-driven attraction is passion. People who live with purpose are often deeply passionate about the work they do or the causes they care about. This passion is contagious. Passion is magnetic because it reflects a deep connection with one's own life and mission. Whether it's a career, a hobby, or a social cause, a person who is fully immersed in something they care about exudes a contagious energy. Passion speaks louder than words. It is felt by others in the way a person speaks, the way they move, and the way they engage with the world. This kind of passion attracts people who resonate with that energy. They are drawn to those who are not just going through the motions, but who are actively engaged in creating something meaningful. In a broader sense, people who live with purpose are also more likely to make a positive impact on the world around them. Their actions, decisions, and contributions are guided by their values, and they seek to make the world a better place. This sense of purpose-driven action is inherently attractive because it signals a deeper sense of responsibility and integrity. When someone is living a life of meaning, they inspire others to do the same. They encourage others to tap into their own potential and pursue their own purpose. The idea of purpose-driven attraction is not about trying to win someone's affection. It is not about adopting someone else's vision of success or greatness. It is about becoming so deeply aligned with your own values and goals that you naturally attract people who share your vision or are inspired by your energy. It is about being fully immersed in your own journey, to the point where your attraction comes not from what you do for others, but from who you are and what you are creating in the world. This is the power of purpose-driven attraction. When you are focused on living a life of meaning and authenticity, others will be drawn to that energy. They will be attracted not by superficial qualities, but by the depth and clarity with which you live your life. Purpose is the foundation that makes attraction truly enduring, because it is based on who you truly are and what you stand for, not on fleeting external circumstances. Purpose-driven attraction is about creating a life that speaks for itself, one that naturally draws people toward you because they are inspired by your clarity, passion, and commitment to something larger than yourself. Effective communication is often touted as the cornerstone of any successful relationship, be it personal, professional, or even societal. Yet, despite its critical role, many people still struggle with communicating clearly. Misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and assumptions run rampant in many interactions, whether in romantic partnerships, business environments, or friendships. This not only leads to frustration, but also undermines the very foundation of trust. Clear communication, however, is the key that unlocks trust, and trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. When we communicate clearly, we are telling others that they can rely on us, understand us, and count on us to be straightforward and honest. In turn, this fosters a sense of security and mutual respect. Clear communication is about more than just conveying information. It's about ensuring that the message you intend to deliver is received and understood as you intended. This requires more than just speaking or writing words. It demands active listening, empathy, and attentiveness. When we speak clearly, we ensure that our thoughts are not lost in vague language or unclear explanations. But even more importantly, we create a space where the other person feels comfortable asking questions, seeking clarification, and engaging in a dialogue. This kind of communication promotes openness, and openness is essential to building trust. At its core, clear communication is an act of transparency. When we communicate transparently, we show the other person our true thoughts, intentions, and feelings. We strip away the veils of ambiguity and avoid hiding behind vague language or half-truths. Honesty and transparency are the hallmarks of clear communication, and they are what build trust over time. When you communicate clearly, you show the other person that there is no agenda behind your words, no hidden motives or ulterior motives. You simply want to be understood, and in doing so, you allow them the opportunity to understand you fully. This creates a safe environment for vulnerability. In personal relationships, whether with a partner, family members, or friends, clear communication can eliminate much of the uncertainty that often breeds tension. When people are unsure of where they stand with someone, it fosters insecurity and doubt. If a partner is unclear about their feelings or intentions, for example, the other person may start to feel uncertain, anxious, and disconnected. In contrast, when both parties engage in clear, direct communication, they are able to share their feelings openly and honestly, leaving little room for misunderstandings. This allows both individuals to better understand each other's perspectives, needs, and desires, which in turn strengthens the relationship. Clear communication also involves clarity of intention. When we are clear about our intentions, we provide others with a sense of predictability and reliability. This is essential in building trust, as it helps the other person understand not just what we are saying, but also why we are saying it. For example, in the workplace, when a manager communicates expectations clearly, it sets the tone for what is to be achieved when it needs to be done, and what the consequences may be for falling short. Employees are less likely to feel confused, stressed, or resentful when they know exactly what is expected of them, and they can work with confidence knowing that they are aligned with the goals of the organization. In relationships, clear communication of intentions allows both partners to make decisions that are aligned with each other's needs and desires. Another aspect of clear communication is active listening. True communication is a two-way street. It is not enough to simply express yourself clearly. You must also listen with the intention to understand. When we listen actively, we are fully engaged in the conversation, not just waiting for our turn to speak, but genuinely seeking to understand the other person's point of view. This level of attentiveness shows respect for the other person's thoughts and feelings, which fosters trust. People tend to trust others who make the effort to understand them fully. Active listening involves more than just hearing words. It requires paying attention to body language, tone of voice, and the emotional nuances behind the message. By responding thoughtfully and asking clarifying questions when necessary, we demonstrate that we value the other person's perspective and are committed to the dialogue. Empathy plays a critical role in clear communication as well. When we communicate with empathy, we acknowledge the other person's emotions and experiences. This not only helps us understand them better, but also shows that we care about their feelings. Empathy helps us avoid being overly defensive or dismissive of the other person's needs and concerns. Instead, it allows us to engage in conversations that are both compassionate and constructive. It creates a space for vulnerability and ensures that both parties feel heard and validated. Trust cannot exist without empathy. When we show empathy, we build a bridge between ourselves and the other person, making them more likely to trust us with their own thoughts, emotions, and concerns. Clear communication is also critical in resolving conflict. In every relationship, conflict is inevitable. However, how we communicate during times of conflict is what makes or breaks the relationship. When we communicate clearly, we avoid escalating the situation with misunderstandings or hurtful language. Instead, we express our concerns calmly, respectfully, and directly. We also ensure that we are not simply venting our frustrations, but addressing the root cause of the issue. This enables both parties to approach the conflict as a shared problem that can be worked through rather than a personal attack. In this way, clear communication helps prevent misunderstandings that could erode trust over time. Furthermore, clear communication provides a sense of consistency. When people communicate consistently and honestly, others know what to expect. This predictability builds trust, as it eliminates the uncertainty that comes with unclear or contradictory communication. Consistent communicators are trusted because they don't send mixed signals. Their words match their actions, which further strengthens their credibility. When we make a commitment to clear communication, we are making a commitment to authenticity. We are promising that we will speak from a place of honesty and integrity, without the need for games or manipulation. This creates an environment of trustworthiness where both parties can feel secure in the relationship, knowing that they can rely on each other's words and actions. Clear communication allows us to build trust not just with the words we speak, but through the authenticity of those words. In conclusion, clear communication is not just a tool for effective conversation, it is a fundamental building block of trust. When we communicate clearly, we create a space for honesty, understanding, and connection. We allow the other person to feel secure in the relationship, knowing that their thoughts, feelings, and perspectives will be heard and understood. Clear communication builds trust by ensuring that our words and actions are consistent, transparent, and aligned with our intentions. Trust cannot flourish in an environment of confusion or misunderstanding. Therefore, by committing to clear communication, we are investing in the long-term health and success of our relationships, whether personal or professional. In every human interaction, whether in relationships, communities, or societies, respect for individual sovereignty is a fundamental principle that sustains personal freedom, dignity, and self-determination. Individual sovereignty refers to the idea that each person has the right to govern their own life, make their own choices, and determine their own values without interference from others. This concept is not only crucial for personal well-being, but also for fostering healthy, balanced, and cooperative relationships. When we respect the sovereignty of others, we acknowledge their autonomy, honor their boundaries, and empower them to live according to their own vision, free from undue pressure or control. At its core, respecting individual sovereignty means recognizing that each person is an autonomous entity with their own thoughts, feelings, and desires. It involves understanding that no one should be forced to conform to someone else's will or way of thinking, as each person is a unique being with their own life experiences and internal compass. This respect is not conditional. It is a baseline of interaction, ensuring that people can live with a sense of self-respect and agency in their decisions. In personal relationships, respect for individual sovereignty forms the foundation for trust and mutual appreciation. Healthy relationships are built on the mutual recognition of each person's right to make choices and express themselves freely. When two individuals respect each other's autonomy, they create an environment where both people can grow, express their needs, and make decisions without fear of manipulation or domination. In contrast, when sovereignty is disregarded, whether through controlling behavior, coercion, or the imposition of one's own desires, it can lead to resentment, emotional harm, and an erosion of trust. Thus, allowing each person the freedom to act on their own convictions fosters a deeper, more genuine connection. An essential aspect of respecting individual sovereignty is the recognition of boundaries. Boundaries are personal lines that define the limits of what is acceptable in terms of interaction, behavior, and emotional engagement. They protect a person's mental, emotional, and physical well-being by preventing others from overstepping their rights. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges built on respect and understanding. Respecting someone's boundaries means acknowledging that they have the right to establish what is acceptable and what is not, and that these boundaries should be honored without question. By respecting boundaries, we show that we value the other person's autonomy and that we are willing to adjust our behavior to preserve their sense of safety and respect. In the workplace, respect for individual sovereignty manifests through the recognition of each employee's autonomy and decision-making capacity. Empowering individuals to make decisions within their scope of responsibility is essential for fostering a culture of trust and accountability. When leaders respect the sovereignty of their employees, they encourage innovation, self-confidence, and a sense of ownership over one's work. This also extends to the treatment of colleagues, where mutual respect allows for diverse perspectives to be shared openly, without the fear of being silenced or judged. In contrast, when leaders or coworkers undermine someone's autonomy through micromanagement, condescending behavior, or disregarding their opinions, it stifles creativity and lowers morale. A healthy work environment is one where each person's autonomy is valued, where their ideas and contributions are taken seriously, and where they are trusted to make decisions that align with their role. Respect for individual sovereignty also plays a significant role in societal and cultural dynamics. In diverse societies, people are constantly navigating differing belief systems, values, and worldviews. A society that respects individual sovereignty upholds the principles of personal freedom and diversity, allowing people to express themselves without fear of persecution. This respect for personal autonomy is the cornerstone of democracy, civil rights, and the protection of personal liberties. It ensures that individuals can live according to their own beliefs, whether they relate to religion, politics, or lifestyle, without being forced to conform to the majority's ideals. When sovereignty is respected, societal harmony is enhanced because each person is allowed to pursue their own version of fulfillment, contributing to the richness and diversity of the community. In contrast, a society that disregards individual sovereignty often leads to repression, authoritarianism, and the suppression of dissenting voices. History is full of examples where the violation of individual sovereignty has led to the rise of tyrannical regimes, where people were forced to conform to the will of the state or ruling class. When autonomy is denied, people lose their sense of identity and purpose, and society as a whole suffers from a lack of innovation, freedom, and personal agency. Respect for sovereignty is the antidote to this kind of societal decay. By honoring each individual's right to self-determination, societies can foster greater peace, prosperity, and creativity. In addition to recognizing and respecting boundaries, individual sovereignty is also about honoring each person's internal authority and decision-making capacity. Every individual possesses a unique set of values, desires, and experiences that inform their choices. Respecting sovereignty means allowing people the freedom to make decisions that align with their internal beliefs without judgment or coercion. This freedom of choice empowers individuals to live authentically and take responsibility for their own lives, while also holding them accountable for the consequences of their decisions. This type of respect doesn't mean offering no guidance, it means understanding that each person is ultimately the best authority on their own life. An important element of respecting sovereignty is tolerance. Tolerance does not mean agreement or approval, rather, it means recognizing that others have the right to their own perspectives, beliefs, and practices, even if we don't share them. In a world where cultures and ideologies can differ dramatically, tolerance is essential for peaceful coexistence. Respect for sovereignty requires the ability to disagree respectfully, without resorting to personal attacks, contempt, or attempts to dominate others. It requires us to see the value in diverse viewpoints, and to accept that no one person's way of life should be imposed on others. Respect for individual sovereignty also involves a willingness to relinquish control over others. It is easy to fall into the trap of believing that we know what is best for others, but true respect means acknowledging that we cannot and should not control another person's life. Whether it's in a romantic relationship, a family dynamic, or a workplace setting, attempting to control another person's decisions or actions is not a sign of love, concern, or care. It is a violation of their sovereignty. True love, support, and care come from recognizing and respecting the other person's right to make their own choices and live their life in a way that aligns with their own values and desires.